Lucy and David, it's lovely to speak to you at this anniversary time for you. 2 years at Foxhill. So what was that?
We were licensed on the 5th, but 1st of September, straight in there, trying to get to grips with everything that was about to happen.
What do you remember about that time when you first arrived? Tell us about arriving.
We arrived in 2022, September, although we'd moved in at the end of July, so we'd kind of got settled in terms of home into this beautiful, beautiful place. And then the 1st of September was our first day at work, and I just remember feeling completely overwhelmed by the sum total of things we knew we didn't know about how to run a retreat house.
Yeah, I've been coming here for 25 years now, and so I've known the place through lots of iterations. And actually, when the first time I went back into the kitchens or into the servery, I felt very naughty because that's not where you go. I've always been a guest here, but then trying to find your way around how to use dishwashers and things like that was quite a step up, really, wasn't it?
It was. Although the dishwasher is quite exciting,
yeah.
Because it's one of those big industrial things, and you just stack it up with things, pull the lid down, and just leave it to get on with itself. And 15 seconds later, everything's ready and sorted. So, but yeah, I think that the biggest thing was just feeling the privilege of being here. I still pinch myself coming up the drive in the morning, thinking, we get to work and live here, and it's such a beautiful place. And the team here are fabulous. The staff team is amazing, and that hasn't gone away over the last 2 years. Just this excitement that this is where we get to be, and get to work, and get to meet different people every day, and that's still a huge joy.
For those people who haven't been to Foxhill, explain it. What is it?
Well, it's a place which is set aside purposely for people to come away and meet with God. So that's the reason for our existence, really. So what we do is curate that space. We're here giving opportunity both for church groups to come along and do their church weekends, or people to come along and be part of our programme, which includes residential retreats and day retreats. Just a space which is away from the normal life, which is dedicated for that kind of sense of God.
Yeah.
What makes it so special?
Part of it's the surroundings. I mean, it's a lovely old Victorian house with modern add-ons, a beautiful chapel space in fantastic scenery. You can see one other house from here just looking out of the window. And even on a day like today, when it's chucking it down with rain, it's still beautiful and peaceful. And just that real sense of coming away and being enclosed by this beautiful green space. The number of people I've spoken to who come here and say that they feel as soon as they start coming up the drive, there's that sense of the place kind of giving you a hug. Partly because the drive is down in the valley, and then you come up the gorgeous drive to the house. And in springtime, that's particularly beautiful because there are daffodils all over the banks. But just that sense of peace and calm, and just being able to leave normal life behind for a while. Is something that I used to value when I came here as a guest, and something that obviously people still value now, and we do living and working here.
And the place, the house itself is so comfortable. The furnishings are great, it's always warm, the food is great. So actually people feel like they're having it's a special time, and we want to make it special for them. So it's not, you might think of a retreat centre as quite austere, but that's not what we are. We are really here to welcome and give comfort and support to people.
And be a home from home.
Who does what? What are your jobs? How do you split the tasks?
Spiders. Plumbing, electrical stuff. Sorry, I'm talking about what you do. But spiders is high on my list. Yeah. David looks after a lot of the kind of the building work and maintenance and that kind of thing, but he's also the chaplain for this place, which is a whole different thing. You better talk about that because that's your job, not mine.
Well, one of the things we would love to do more and more of is actually just be with people. So one of our joys is when we've got guests in the house and they're just sitting having a coffee, just because it's our place, we can just wander in and sit down next to them and have a chat. I don't know whether they always appreciate it, but I think they do. And so actually being there in that kind of relationship, and so getting a chance just to chat with people is what we'd like to do more of, isn't it, really? The problem is that there's always things to do in order to keep this space, working well. And so Lucy spends an awful lot of time on administration and emails and dealing with the council and dealing with HMRC and all sorts of different people that she has to deal with. I have a little less of that to do, but I do deal with, along with Chris, who's the assistant director, working on publicity and doing the website and the programme for the
new website.
The new website and the new programme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us about that programme. What's coming up?
Oh, also a whole range of things. An icon painting retreat, which is always really popular. Encounter days. So the encounter days, we have one a month through the year. And they're what people might know as quiet days. But not everybody likes silence. And actually, calling something a quiet day does give the impression that you're going to be sitting in silence all the time, and that's not the case. So we renamed them Encounter Days a couple of years ago, just really to emphasise the fact that they're days to come away and deliberately spend time encountering God and listening to what He has to say to us through the people who come and lead the days for us. So there's one of those every month. In terms of residential retreats, we had a really successful watercolour painting day last year, so that's going to be a 24-hour retreat this coming year. Another lady who leads Christian embroidery groups, so she's going to be leading a retreat for us in August. A new thing that we're trying out just for a day in February, there's an organisation, a Christian group called Psalms and Stretches, and it's combining gentle physical activity along the lines of Pilates for people who know what that form of exercise is, with using the movement to help meditate on the words of the Psalms. So that's going to be kind of split between partly exercise, partly reflections on words from the Psalms and how they can impact our lives. I'm trying to think what else is coming up. Created to Create. That's going to be another kind of generally creative weekend in March. That's been very popular the last couple of years.
We've got the two individually guided retreats as well.
Yes, we do. One in the spring and then one in the autumn. So anyone who particularly wants to come away and have that dedicated time away with God, but also have somebody on hand who they can talk to, pray through things with, so they're not just kind of in the space on their own. There's somebody to help them make the most of that time away.
Can I ask about that word retreat? Because there are a lot of people watching this might think, oh, I've never been on a retreat. It sounds a bit austere, a silent retreat, a creative. What does this word mean, and what does a retreat centre mean?
So exactly what I would have said, because I've been ordained for 25 years, and I've been on 2 retreats in that time, and they were both for my ordination. I have done time away with God, but it's been not in a retreat centre. And so one of the things that I've been really wanting to do over the 2 years we've been here and reflecting on our programme is to try and design a programme which will cater for everyone, whether you like silence or whether you find silence painful, which is what I do. I need people to talk things through with, otherwise my brain starts to get very pained. So a retreat is just a chance to get away and dedicate some time to listening to God, and that's all it means. And so that can take many forms. So our individually guided retreats, they are silent. So for most of the time, except for in worship and when you're meeting with your prayer guide, you won't be speaking from dinner time on the first day you arrive until normally about coffee time on the day you leave. So it's a long period of silence, which is not what I'm really into. So that's why we do the other creative retreats, and why some of the encounter days, when I lead an encounter day, there's a lot of talking involved. So not a lot of talking from the front necessarily, but a conversation about scripture together, and then opportunities for people to come and chat individually.
I think people sometimes have the idea that a retreat is, I don't know, you get the idea of like hermits in your mind maybe, and kind of, coming away from the real world for a bit, which in a sense it is. It's an opportunity to come and leave behind the stresses and strains of everyday life. But not with that sense of something austere and on your own necessarily, and although we cater for people who want to come as individuals as well. But really just that chance to spend time with God that we don't often get, because prayer and worship and reflection gets pushed out by everyday life. So it is really just that opportunity to just have that space.
And it's something that our longing is that we here will be a place which blesses, particularly the Diocese of Chester, because we're the Chester Diocese Retreat Centre, but that will bless all the people in all of the parishes of our diocese in particular. And so we really want people to know about this place and to be able to feel that this is a place that they can come to. And you might look on our website and think, oh, that's a bit steep, I don't know whether I can afford that. Well, that's okay, because actually we do have a bursary as well. So if we never want anyone to feel they can't come because of financial issues. So we've got a bursary scheme, and where we can offer discounted prices for people who want to come.
I get quite excited about doing that. It's one of the fun things about this job, being able to facilitate people being able to come when they think that finances might be a barrier. Actually, it needn't be at all. And that goes for individuals as well as church groups.
So you've talked about a brand new website that people can see what's coming up and book on this exciting programme. What is your vision for the future? On your second year anniversary, what's your hopes and dreams for Foxhill?
I think really, for me, one of the main things is for more and more people to be able to come and experience this place, not for the sake of coming here particularly, but how that can enrich their discipleship and their walk with God on a day-to-day basis. One of the biggest excitements and joys of living and working here is when we have guests who come for the first time and you see a change in them through the day. They come through the door and they sign in first thing in the morning, and as they leave in the afternoon, just hearing their stories about how God's met with them here and how they're almost disappointed with themselves that they hadn't come before, that it's taken them this long to come and experience what this place has to offer. Just seeing that change and that difference that a day here can make to people is such a blessing. And I think our biggest longing is that more people experience that, not for the sake of this place in particular, but what God does with people when they come here.